Bakotunes Radio.
Buenos dias, my good people of Bakotopia land. This is Matt again, as if you didn't know, with another spicy episode of the Bakotunes Podcast, episode 41. You're about to hear my two-part interview with Yesod Williams, drummer for reggae rockers Pepper, who will be in Bakersfield on Friday, October 20th, 2006 at 8 p.m. at the Fox Theater in downtown Bako as part of the Jägermeister Music Tour. Also on the bill will be acoustic roots rockers Slightly Stupid, so get your tickets or find out how to win free tickets on Bakotopia.com. Alright, now gather your best mates, bust out the cold brew and buds, and listen up, because here we go with part one of the Bakotunes Podcast, episode 41. Peace. I'm calling Yesod Williams of Pepper right here on the Bakotunes Podcast. See if he answers.
Yo, Matt.
Yesod, how's everything going for Pepper right now?
Everything's going excellent, man. Just a lot of anticipation because we got the new album coming out on October 3rd, and first one we've had in a couple of years, and definitely the closest to our heart. So we're just a lot of excitement, right?
Okay, now who is missing from the interview?
Brett and Cleo are the other two guys. It's just a three-piece, and I play drums, and Cleo plays guitar, Brett plays bass, and then both of them share in the lead singing duties. So it's kind of a bit like like the dynamic in Blink-182 or something. Not the music or anything, but just the dynamic of two different lead singers. And it kind of goes back and forth. And then I do all the backup vocals. So we delve heavily into the three-part harmonies live.
I was in Amoeba Music in LA one night, and
nice, killer. We'll love that place.
Yeah, and I was just looking through the music videos, and then I saw the Pepper live, and I had never seen you guys perform live, and I just bought it, checking it out. And so you guys did this. Was it like a 2-night show at the Troubadour?
Yeah, it was 2 nights, and it was really cool because it was one of the, that was like around the time when we actually could first ever start selling out any places. So it was our first time playing the Troubadour, and we did the 2 nights there and filmed both nights and kind of took the best from both nights and made it into one DVD.
Yeah.
And but honestly, stoked, love you for going out and getting that and whatnot, but that really doesn't represent nowadays. Our show, we just believe we've been on the road for so long and whatnot that we've become that much tighter of a band. So got to definitely come out and check one of the recent shows because we're all about the progression. That's what keeps us going throughout the days.
When was that recorded?
That was a while ago, man. That was probably recorded, I'd say, in the fall of 2002, and then it was released in early 2003.
Wow, so it's been that long, and this was like last year when I got it too.
Oh, yeah. No, we've been, our first album came out in early 2000s, which was Given It, and then Conatown came out in 01, and then, so we've been at it for a while. We've been a band since 97, so we're coming up on 10 years here.
Now, are you guys still living in Hawaii, or are you living in U.S., or are you guys split up?
Oh, yeah, no, and unfortunately not. We're not living in Hawaii anymore because, it's just in the middle of the ocean out in the Pacific, so it's kind of not as feasible for a band at this stage in our career to be touring and whatnot. So we all live in Southern California now and around the northern San Diego area.
You told me that the band got together in 97.
Right.
Can you give me kind of like a brief history of how you guys got together until now?
In a nutshell, we grew up in a town called Kona on the Big Island of Hawaii, and a real small town. It's grown a lot these days, but still small, but back when we were growing up, it was even smaller, and everyone knows everyone there. And we always knew each other as people that, we knew each other played music and whatnot as far as us three in the band. And one day at a party, it was right around the time, right before me and Brett were going to graduate, because Cleo is a year older than us, the year before, in 96, and me and Brett graduated in 97. So right before we graduated, I saw Cleo at a party, and I kind of had been over playing drums for a long time, so I started when I was real young. I think I got jaded on it when I was real young, playing with older musicians and stuff. And I don't know, just at a party though, just got the bug, and I started talking to Cleo, and we just started rapping out about jamming, and then I'd known Brett forever because he lived right down the street from me, just all through middle school and whatnot. And but him and Cleo actually had been playing music all through high school when I kind of was just I just wanted to surf and like hang out with my friends and whatnot. But so I had known Brett forever, but then me and Cleo started talking about jamming, and then Cleo was like, yeah, we'll have Brett come in, and the three of us will jam. And I went up and jammed, and Brett had always told Cleo, because he knew me for so long, like, oh yeah, like you gotta check him out, like he's sick. Like I used to play in like these metal bands, so he's like, oh yeah, like good, like sick, like metal drummer or something. And then I went up and practiced, and I was so rusty that, like, I guess the boys told me that after I left, they were like, Brett was like, I don't know what happened, man. Like Cleo, I'm sorry, I told you it was good. Like, I don't know what happened. And I was so rusty, but then by the second practice, I'd kind of, I guess, shaken some rust off. So the second practice we had, and the boys weren't worried anymore.
What about, tell me about the name. What does the name Pepper mean?
The name is from a Saturday Night Live episode from the early 90s. It's like the Pepper Boys episode with, it's got Kevin Nealon and Kirstie Alley, like these customers at an Italian restaurant. And, Rob Schneider, Adam Sandler, and Dana Carvey are like the bus boys. And they're just like super horny, like, oh yeah, you like the pepper.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and they're like perving out on Kirstie Alley, and Kevin Nealon's tripping out, like, honey, what, why are you letting him fondle your boobs and whatnot? And like, she's like, no, don't worry, it's just part of their culture. And yeah, the pepper, oh yeah. So that's basically where it came from. We're huge. Everyone asks like what our influences are. One of the huge influences is comedy. Like we love comedy. We thrive on it. It makes being on the road easier, and it's just a super carefree thing that goes along with just what kind of people we are. So. Yeah. Besides all the bands we listen to and love, and all the music we listen to and love, that's a big part of it too. Is all the good comedy.
Now, can you describe the sound?
I mean, coming from the band, it's reggae and rock, put together with a little bit of an island feel to it. Like especially a couple of songs on the new album kind of have a, especially one I think of a song called "Bring Me Along" that's on the new album that's coming out, and that's got a real island kind of reggae feel to it, which is. In Hawaii, everyone calls it Hawaiian music. It's like a mixture of Hawaiian and Jamaican music, and there's a ton of that over there, and we just grew up listening to it. So, I mean, it's reggae and rock in a nutshell, but then we definitely have that bit of that island feeling and island spirit in it too. But then, whenever I get asked this question, though, I like to revert to what I've heard other people say about us, which I know there's some funny ones, but there's a couple that really stick out. Like maybe 3 years back, someone said we sound like a cross between. And I by no way agree with it or whatever. I just kind of wish this was true. But one person said we sound like Soundgarden and Black Uhuru put together, which I was like that's fucking crazy, but I'll take it, like whatever you say. So and then the other one is more recently, about a year ago, someone said we had the spirit of Bob Marley and the blood of No Effect. So that really pumped me up too. So
no, that's really cool. Especially, do you like those? You obviously like Bob Marley. You like No Effects, and do you like Soundgarden?
All those bands I just mentioned are huge influences and idols and everything in those categories you think of.
Now, I know you guys have probably heard this before, but I'll ask it to you again. But do you get a lot of the Sublime comparisons?
Tons. Yeah, tons. I mean, I think a little less these days, maybe, or maybe I don't notice it as much anymore, or I don't know what it is. But I mean, everyone, and the funny thing is, like, there's those Sublime comparisons, but then there's some people that kind of hate on us because they're like, oh, you guys are just rip-offs, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, I think those are kind of the people that maybe hear a song of ours or something once, and they don't really, delve into it to see what Pepper's really about. But I just, I mean, what can you say? If people are noticing your band and comparing you to a legendary band like Sublime, then there's nothing you can say bad about that or complain about that or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, whatever people are hating on it, but whatever, yeah. That's going to happen, that's life.
The underground fan base, Pepper's underground fan base, it's kind of really definitely taken on a life of its own. When you first came to the States, or, until you became permanent residents over here, and you do a show right in the middle of the U.S., away from the beach, away from everything, right. How do the crowds react to you guys?
Oh, well, there was no crowds.
Really?
Yeah, I mean we've built this band completely on the road, and I mean we started on the Warped Tour, which we got lucked out because we were involved with Volcom Entertainment, which ended up releasing a couple of our albums, and they had a stage. So I mean we actually had a tour and a stage we could play on, and the deal was we had to set up the stage and break it down every day. So we were like stage crew. Plus we had to drive ourselves in a van and play every day. But I mean, but nonetheless, it was a heavy character builder and really made us tough on the road, or whatever you want to call it, for lack of a better term. Just made our skin a little tougher to be on the road for 200 shows out of the year. So, but yeah, those. I mean, we're on a side stage, and Warped Tour. If you don't basically go out and like make people come to your stage, or you have somewhat of a name, and at that point we're just starting out. So yeah, it'd be like Good Charlotte playing right next to us before they blew up really huge, but they still had about 1,000 people watching them every day. And like they'd play right before us, and it'd be the Great Disappearing Act, where we'd watch these 1,000 people just walk right by us while we're like starting our first song, and we're just hoping to God, like, please, maybe at least like 50 of them will stay, and it would never happen. But yeah, that was it was a bit of a maybe reality check, because we didn't know. We were like, yeah, we'll move to the mainland and we'll buy a van and we'll just start playing, and things could open up. But we did that, realized we were like, oh my God, holy shit, tour is so heavy. Like, this is so heavy if this is what tour is. But it's kind of cool because anything after that was like pretty minor compared to that,
Yeah.
Any other band or anything was like, oh, okay, this is way easier than that was.
Before we go on to part 2 of my interview with Yesod Williams from Pepper, here's a song by the band Pepper. This is Ashes. The Bakotunes Podcast is here live and fresh for you. Here is part 2 of my interview with Pepper. Do you guys always go over to the East Coast a lot, or would you guys mainly stay along the West Coast?
Oh, no, I mean, at first, when we first got here, like I said, we did that Warped Tour, but then anything beyond that was more towards the West Coast, just because we were starting out. But, yeah, now pretty much every tour we do, we'll, unless it's just a small little, maybe a 5-day run, like up the coast, but, like, we just did a tour of 311 in the Whalers, and that was all across the country. Then last year we did 2 national tours that were all the way across the country, about 40 dates, 50 dates in each one of those. So we get over there as much as we can. This year was kind of a bit different than last year. We didn't get to do the 2 full tours because we've never spent so long making an album before. And this one we kind of jumped around and used about 4 different producers. And so what ended up happening was we took about 8 months. So kind of sacrificed a lot of the year that would have been touring. But, we hope it's time well spent that everyone's going to enjoy the product and the result of all that hard work and time,
Absolutely. Well, the Jägermeister tour, which you guys are on with Slightly Stupid, it's in the past it's been very, heavy metal oriented and hardcore music, hardcore bands, everybody's Slayer. How did it come about that Pepper and Slightly Stupid were picked for this tour?
Well, I mean, first of all, before I answer that, I just want to say that it's great to be the first, or one of the first 2 bands, as us and Slightly Stupid, to kind of be turning over a new leaf for Jaeger, because, I mean, it's so good that they support music anyway. Might as well just be all kind of music, so. So definitely just extra fired up about that. But how it came about, basically, is the guys from Jaeger, we actually hooked up, as far as Pepper, we hooked up with them through a band, our friend's band called OPM. And they're on Cottonmouth King's record label. And we just really hit it off with them, and they would always help us out. And just as our band grew, and then actually right eventually after that too, Slightly Stupid got hooked up with them. And just as our band grew and Slightly Stupid grew a little bit, we could get to the point where we could fill up the venues that they have on the Jaeger tour and make it worth everyone's while. So, it's just more of a friendship thing, I think, that led it to it, and their willingness to think outside the box and not realize that there are more fans for Jaeger and for music in general than just the hardcore fans, So.
Right on. What's the name of your latest release coming out?
It's called No Shame, and you're talking about the new one that's coming out, right?
Yeah, the brand new one that's coming out.
Yeah. It's called No Shame, and it comes out October 3rd. And right now there's all the pre-sale and all that available on our website on pepperlive.com, and just really excited because we haven't had an album for about 2.5 years out, so we're just like dying for people to listen to this. So it's not like playing new songs live, because now you play a new song live before the album comes out, and it's one of those things where people are kind of just checking it out. They're not gonna, like, we play a song from one of our older albums and people just go ape shit, and they're gonna just go off and sing along and dance and mosh and do whatever.
Yeah.
Where you play a new song and it's expected, but it kind of kills the energy a little bit. But it's expected that people are going to sit back a little bit and check it out and be like, oh, sick, a new song. What's this about? What are they saying? Oh, what I mean? What are the different parts going to do? So it's going to be great once we get the album out and people can sing along and they know the songs, and that's always such a fun thing to get fresh blood into the system. And in the system, I mean by the whole Pepper system, the fans and the band,
Now, can fans expect like your signature style, or is there what's the most different thing that's going to be on this CD that you're doing with the latest project?
The most, I'd say, as far as the sounds, the most different sound is we have one song called Like Your Style, and it's like a full, like almost like dance hall, like club song, like dance hall reggae, almost like club track, like killer dance song, killer beat, but yeah, definitely a bit different than anything we've done before, but still right down the vein of Pepper. Nothing that, I think, like, our last album, In With The Old, kind of caught people off guard. There was kind of a couple different flavors that maybe went a little far outside the boundaries of what the essence of Pepper is, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to set any boundaries on the band. We might have went a little too far out where it kind of caught some of our fans off guard, where, like, they love Kona Town. They're like, that album's your guys' best work. The In With The Old album, maybe, which is basically an album that, I love. I think it's got its great parts to it, but I do agree that there's a couple weird things on it where we might have maybe just, succumbed to someone else's idea or not totally did what we want, which the new album is just a perfect, complete collaboration between the three of us. And with the producer's help, of course, rounding things out.
Mm-hmm.
But the Konatan album, which is the one before the last album, our second album, has like a steady, heavy groove throughout the whole thing, and that's the one that all our fans are like, that's for sure a favorite album. So I think this new album, No Shame, has those same characteristics where it's got the steady groove throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's like times 100 from where Konatan was, just because we've been on the road for so long. There's been more experiences and just more a bit maturity of the songs or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically it's like going to be Konatan on steroids is what I was liking to call the new album. Our main website, our official website, is pepperlive.com. Mm-hmm. That's all one word, Pepperlive. And then the MySpace is myspace.com/pepperlive.
Well, I know a lot of fans are right here in Bakersfield are looking forward to seeing you guys together. Have you ever played in Bakersfield before?
Yeah, actually, a funny story. We played with Snoop Dogg in Bakersfield before. at the Centennial Gardens, I think it's called.
Really? I remember that. I remember that when Snoop Dogg came, but I didn't know you guys were doing the show.
Yeah. It was like 2 years ago.
Well, a lot of fans, they're looking forward to you guys coming back together, especially with Slightly Stupid. It's going to be a great.
Yeah, no,
tour.
it's been like one of our first good tours or whatever, where we were playing for people every day, was Slightly Stupid took us out like 3 years ago, and we did 2 tours with them, and this is the first one since then, and so we're going back out as co-headliners, and it's going to be really cool. And yeah, definitely stoked for all the fans, because I know everyone's super fired up on it, but we are as well.
Right on. Do you have any message for your Bakersfield fans?
We're trying to step it up every day at every show, so everyone's got to come out to the most recent shows to see what we got going on, because we got something different going on every show, and we're stepping it up and bringing more energy every time. But the only reason the energy's coming is because all the fans are so heavy and so fucking loving, and they just like to fling it back and forth. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. We love you.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, wish you a safe journey on this. You're kicking off the tour. You're going to be here at Bakersfield on Friday, October 20th with Slightly Stupid.
The Dome. We're going to rage.
You guys are gonna go crazy, and everybody's gonna go crazy.
Crazy. We're gonna tear the fucking place down, Pookie.
Right on, man. Well, thank you so much, Yesod, for taking the time to be on the show. And
yeah, no worries. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate the time that you take with us to represent and show love to Pepper.
Right on, brother. Okay, well, take care, and we'll see you here in Bakersfield.
All right, man.
Take care.
Again.
Peace.
Aloha.
Thank you, Yesod, for being on the show. It's going to be a hot one at the Fox Theater on October 20th. So get your tickets online or enter to win on Bakotopia.com. Here's another song by Pepper from their latest CD, No Shame, and this song is called Your Face. Till next time, peace. Bakotopia.com. Peace.
And I slammed the door right in your face. How's it feel? How's it taste? And look how you won't dance with me. Why has December made you so mean that you're looking so far past me? When you say what you say, but don't walk away. My tongue's so tied from putting out the fire that I started in the first place. So pretend you're in my shoes, you got nothing to lose. And if I'm acting slutty, then it's probably from the booze. What's wrong with your face? You never smile anymore. What's wrong with your face? You never close your eyes when I kiss your face. You never smile anymore. What's wrong with your face? in my shoes, you got nothing to lose. And if I'm acting slutty, then it's probably from the booze. What's wrong with your face? You never smile anymore. What's wrong with your face? You never close your eyes when I kiss your face. You never smile anymore. What's wrong with your face?
Don't forget to tune in next week for another exciting episode of Bakotunes Radio, brought to you by Bakotopia.com. Peace.
Now go away or I shall taunt you a second time.
Bakotunes Radio.